Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Arrow. Last year in 2020, everyone was thinking about jobs, the security of jobs, the money they will earn, the money they will lose, and most important of it was that if they will have a job or not, how their businesses will work, and how safe are they. Most of the people in middle class have certain loans in their in their life and certain responsibilities, kids fees, everything. Nothing was getting stopped because of this pandemic, but the money coming in and the job security was getting hampered by it. And during that time, people have started to think about a lot of things, about life, about family, about love, about many other things, including how to earn money from somewhere else. Then that is called alternate salary for me, because I started this podcast not because I want to earn alternate salary, but because I was so frustrated and I wanted to talk to people who can calm me down. And today I have one guest with me, Shaurya. Welcome to the Arrow. And he is here to calm me down and calm all of you down. So, uh, Shaurya, first of all, please tell our viewers about yourself, your childhood, your studies, your origin story.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you, Varun, for that very interesting and beautiful description of what has happened last year. And just to tell the viewers that my name is Shaurya Shrivastava. I am a full-time trader, and I particularly am an options trader. I am also an analytics professional or a data analytics professional. So I've been in the data analytics industry for about 7 years now. And last year, just as a quick introduction to myself, last year I went ahead and quit my job during the peak of the pandemic, aiming to find an alternate source of income. And I currently do that purely through the stock market. And I have discovered so many interesting things in the stock market, which I would love to share with you guys, and also about potentially thinking of leaving my job and how I look at that journey of leaving my job and trying to get other sources of income. So, if I just tell you a little bit more about who I am, maybe from my childhood, I in school, my school days, I guess we all, come from a time where, like, I think, like in school days, getting into an IIT was, effectively the goal, right? Effectively, there were not so many distractions. Effectively, studies was pretty much all it is. And personally, I was not so good at studies. I was a very carefree individual. And I think I really appreciated logic, right? Because logic, when there's logic, you don't have to study too much. I tried to avoid studies in terms of time. I really enjoyed my time. I really valued my time. So I think I was very good at maths. I was very decent at maths. And the beauty of maths was you never have to really study too much. If you know maths, you don't you can just go through without studying too much. So throughout school and college, like I managed to sort of really do well in maths and like just pass all the other subjects. And throughout this journey, I really felt that time is really valuable, right? I think, and after that, after really just sort of, when you finish college, you end up at you get some job, right? And I actually got into a company called Mu Sigma, which was an analytics firm. So I ended up there, right? And I think when I started there, right, in about the first 3 to 4 months, right, I really felt a lot of things which I would have never experienced before. Like for example, I didn't understand why are we sitting 12 hours a day in office, right? My first thought was, why are we sitting 12 hours a day in office? It was a clear standing instruction to me that you come in at 9 a.m. and leave at 9 p.m., right? Or I really appreciate the company and my learning through the journey, but the general Indian ecosystem of jobs, right? I never understood why it works a certain way. And irrespective of what salary, right? I felt that we are just putting in so much time into a job, right? If you look at your day for a second, right, you're sort of like having about 12 to 14 hours, right, of time, right? If I take away time to sleep and eat and other things, and if you take out more time, finally, probably you're just left with about 3 to 4 hours, right, in which you can decide what to do. And I really felt that I wanted to do so much more. I had maybe some creative pursuits. I had some passion for music. I had other passions. And I was like, I can never get to doing any of these things, right? I can never get to doing anything that I'm passionate about if I have to work the 9 to 9 Indian job, right? Like, it's not even a 9 to 5. It's like a 9 to 9 Indian job. And the um, as time passed, I did at least appreciate really one thing, which was learning was the answer to me personally. When I thought of finally, how do I exit this? Right? Somehow it was absolutely clear to me that in the first 6 months only, I made up my mind that I have to exit this, right? Eventually. And you see people planning for masters, you see people planning for their MBAs. I had that phase too, but I felt like if I go down this, I'll actually get more stuck in this rat race. Right? The more you invest on your education and the more you invest in getting more into your career, right, you will effectively be bound by it for a longer run. Right? It is. So these are the kind of things that I just processed. When I was just going through my job, and I the frank truth is, like that life is tough, right? You make a certain amount of money, right? And you make a certain amount of money, and living within that is not easy, especially when you're starting off. It's the average IT professional salary, at least when as a fresher, is extremely low. Right? It's extremely low, and um, you go through this whole thing, and I think my first goal, right? I hope it's okay. I'm getting into this flow of like how I felt during. Just feel free to tell me in case you want to ask me about anything specifically. Right? So I had a 6 year career, right? And like I look at it this way, right? When I was so absolutely clear that I wanted a way out, right, to free up time to earn money, maybe in alternate ways, I had to first accept that probably money, I will not get as much money. Like as you keep going and you try to do other things, I cannot get as much money as my salary that I got at a later stage in my career. So the first clarity that I always had is that I had to live frugally, right? I live very frugally, right? I think I live at very affordable costs even today, right? And first thing to me was very clear: I live frugally, and that's the only way I could save up money to even think of an exit. The first 3 years of my career, I managed to save money to probably give myself a 3 month break, right? And I switched jobs pretty often to raise my salary as fast as I could. I was decent at what I did. I was above average for sure, pretty good at what I did. And when I took that first break, right, it was like a flash in my head. Right? I took my first break in 2017, okay, and I still remember it. It's like it makes me really happy even thinking about it. When I took my first break, it was a 4 month break, right? And it became so clear to me when I took the first break that this is an amazing feeling, right? Just getting up every day and deciding what I want to do, right? Whether it's study for a course, or whether it is learn how to make a YouTube video, or whether it is how to edit on Adobe Premiere Pro or After Effects. That's the charm of life, right? Getting up and learning something that really excites you. Go play a song on a piano. Go learn to sing, right? This is what life is about. Go talk to your friends. Spend time with your parents, your loved ones. And we can use our skills and we can use our abilities to work. But what if my skills and abilities could earn me money with very little time investment? And I could get to do things that I really want to do. So it became so clear that that is the way to go ahead. And of course, I was 24 years old at that time, so I could not understand how to do this. It was the most interesting problem to solve for me. That how do I get to this point? But in a nutshell, after about a 3 to 4 month break, I gave up. Right, like you're a young guy, you don't have much savings. I gave up. I spent all the money that I had, and I went back to a job, right? And when I took up a job after this break, right, every step and every day, I literally had like a tracker, right? I had a tracker on my Excel sheets, and I said, this is my monthly spend. This is my net worth. This is my growth in net worth, percentage wise, month over month. And if I continue on this trajectory, 18 months down the line, I'll be here, right? And I was so conscious of that number. And I, before I even made this structure, right, I was like sitting and Googling a lot of things. I Googled this term so many times: how to retire young, how to retire young, right? And um, when I say retire, a lot of people, like misunderstand what I mean. For me, retirement is doing what you love, right? Like for me, retirement is being free to decide what I want to do. Let's put it that way. And I kept on Googling these things. And, when I did that, I got a lot of articles and I came across a term called FIRE. Okay? And FIRE stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. Right? It's a framework. It's a movement. It's largely an American and Western movement, let's call it. I wouldn't say American, Western movement. And the best part was it was started like as recently as the 2000s. I think it was 90s, about 96, 97 it started. And what is the big coincidence with about 97, 2000 is a lot of millennials were starting to, let's say, get into the workforce, or there was the millennials sort of coming into that. Millennials were starting to work at that point. And as millennials, we sometimes we think in a certain manner where we focus sometimes more on job satisfaction. We more focus on, like as I already said, doing things that you love. So anyhow, financial independence retire early or FIRE was something that really like I got obsessed with. Okay. And I found these beautiful statements by people who practice this art. Okay? I call it like a practice, right? It's a bunch of habits and it's almost a movement of people, right? And I saw that, a lot of people said that I could retire at 40 or 35 or whatever number because I spent this little in life, right? I spent so little. I remember reading some dream stories, right? Where I think like some guy in the US, he retired at 29. And I read his story so closely. What did he do? Effectively, the answer comes down to spending really, really little, right? And being very, very aware of your costs, right? Is the first element of it. And it comes to the philosophy that if you've raised your net worth or your net savings, right, what your assets totally are worth, right, whether it is your cash in hand plus, let's say, if you're owning some sort of let's say whatever you have in your bank accounts plus investments, right? Investments is a very wide bracket. So when you add all of this up, right, and this value grows at a certain rate, and I was like, hey, like if this can grow at a certain rate, it will beat my salary, right? And this is being compounded every year. Okay, so it became very clear that that equation is the answer to all of this, right? So, for example, if I was earning 8 lakhs per annum, right? The question to ask was, if I can grow my money at 15% a year, hypothetically, right? And I had, let's say, 60 lakhs, hypothetically. Okay? I have nothing close to that. That's a different thing. But let's say I had 60 lakhs. If you have 60 lakhs and you're able to grow it at 15% a year, that's 9 lakhs per annum, right? 9 lakhs per annum is not too much money, right? First of all, but hey, it will give you enough to survive. It will give you enough to be able to open up your mind to newer experiences. You won't be locked in for 10 hours in front of your desk. Won't be called up on a Saturday, and that worth of that time is too precious to me. Right? And but anyhow, coming back to the timeline, right? It became so clear to me that this is exactly what I need to do. And I believed it would take 12 months, right? Because I was a stupid 25-year-old. I believed it would take 12 months for me to crack it. I took 3 years. I took 3 years to, first of all, manage to save up. Um, I I had to make a lot of sacrifices, right? I didn't go on trips. I had to cut down on when I ate outside, right? I really lived life in a certain frugal way and I really enjoyed it, honestly. I really enjoy minimalism. It's very peaceful in the mind as well, like living a lot simpler. And um, from the cost saving point of view and from the accumulating some funds point of view, I managed to accumulate some funds. I don't think it was too much. I managed to accumulate some funds. And the second part that I wanted to answer was, can I use this? Okay, because I thought that, hey, I'm from a background where I've analyzed. I was a data analytics guy, so I used to analyze a lot of data for companies and help them make decisions. And I said, look, I work so hard for companies. Can I work hard for myself for 1 year, just for myself? And I worked in like 4 companies and I solved problem after problem after problem. I was a very good analyst. And the other problem is analysts don't get paid enough. Analysts are always, they believe office ka bacha hai. Like that's the treatment always. And I had to find a certain way ahead. And I said, can I solve this problem for myself? And in 2019, during Jan Feb itself, I decided that, like time is short and I want to do this. And I got into the stock market for about a year and a half. I failed miserably. I miserably failed. I lost so much money. And I lost so much money. I lost like everything that I'd saved up. I lost like 40-50% of it. Like, and effectively, it came down to a point where I after probably 3 years of this journey of saving money and trying to work out the stock market with this concept in mind, I quit my job in 2020, which was like in July or August. And at this point, I hadn't figured it out, just to be clear. I was losing money in the stock market. The coronavirus pandemic had also caused the market to dip drastically, at least in March, April, May, when COVID just came in. And I was going through a big, I was going through a big loss. And I think at this point, I was still figuring things out, but I am a very optimistic person, right? I like to believe that sometimes you have to put yourself through certain situations to sometimes find a solution. If you don't leave the job, you'll never find the solution. Probably the work done in the last 3 years or so enabled this opportunity for me to give this a shot. But um, so anyhow, when I further tried things out, it took about 3 more months after I quit my job to crack something called options trading, which I cracked only in about as recent as December. So we're talking about 7 months back. So I think options trading is something that I really discovered, and that has been my answer to the alternative income. And I can of course talk more about it, but yeah, so the last 7 months or last 8 months I've been a professional options trader, and that's how I make my money, and that is basically what I've been doing. So I'd love for you to let me know what is it that you want to dig deeper into.
Uh, yeah, before we go a little bit deeper,
Yeah.
I was listening to what you said. It was sort of your story for last 5 years, maybe 6 years.
Yeah.
And I still remember I started my job around 11 and a half years ago. And I think in first 6 months only, I decided, boss, I cannot do it all the time. Because internally, I want to do so many creative things. I mean, this
Right.
podcast is one of that thing. And fortunately enough, I do not have to quit job yet. And I cannot afford it. But and anyways, at that time, I said that, okay, first 2 years, I thought that, okay, let me see how the yearly increment
Mm-hmm.
goes. And I calculated it and I said, okay, if I live like this and if I save this much, I can retire at 40. And that's why I was smiling whenever you were saying 40 age and so on. And I said,
Yeah.
okay, I will retire at 40. But when I was 25, 26, yeah, I invested in a house, I invested in a car.
Mm-hmm.
No, I cannot retire now at 40, maybe 42.
Mm-hmm.
And today the age is 45 when I think I can retire and do, as you said, retirement does not mean I will not do anything and just be a lazy bum at house. No,
Yeah,
I will
yeah,
be doing something which interests me, and it is more creative and more fulfilling rather than doing a job. But look, hearing your story, I can still be hopeful that 45 is an attainable enough. My
right.
problem with your plan was, I mean,
Yeah,
your
yeah,
plan was perfect. It worked for you. For me, I
yeah,
cannot use that plan because you have a tendency, or you developed a tendency to live frugally. I cannot
yeah,
live frugally. That's for sure.
right, right.
I have a certain lifestyle. I
Mm,
like to travel.
mm,
I mean, traveling is like what you said. What I want to do by after 45,
yeah,
I want to do it right now.
yeah,
But
yeah,
once a year, I save for that, but I do not save for future.
right.
And
Mm,
I like gadgets. I like many things. I cannot live frugally. So do you think that first of all, the basic question I will ask is that how does India look at jobs? You know what I mean? For
right.
example, I know my parents will watch this video and they will call me the next day. Are you planning to quit your job? No, you are not allowed to quit your job. And I have to explain it to them, which I am explaining already right now, that I'm not quitting my job until unless I feel safe in quitting my job, or until unless I have something exactly of same amount with that I am earning from
Right.
somewhere else. But that's not gonna happen before 45.
Yes.
So the point is, uh, these jobs. I know India was under British rule at that time. Jobs were called as service.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Everybody was in service, and then it became government service. Then private sector came along. We all got
Yeah,
jobs, and jobs were known. I mean, even people who did business were not looked with as people who are intelligent. Oh, he's doing business. He just 12th
yeah,
pass.
exactly, exactly.
So, what is the current situation of job in India? I mean, you are not much younger than me, but you are. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, like, you know, it's not easy to answer your question, but I'm trying. But yeah, so I think when you look at jobs in India, right, it's looked at very much, it's I think everybody thinks of a job as purely that this is my source of income, right? Anybody going to college, first of all, comes from a thought process that, hey, I have to get a job, right? That is the only end outcome, right? And it's very understandable that, like, I came from a background where I could not afford, I have to do a job, there is no other option, right? And the first time you say to your parents that, hey, I don't intend to work, I don't want to do a job, it is such a taboo even in today's times to just say that I don't want to do a job. Um, so uh, so the thing is, the even when I told my dad very early on that I don't see myself doing a job for the rest of my life, I want to do other things, and I think maybe other ways we can get money, right? And my dad told me first thing, but shadi kaise hogi, how will you get married? This is the first thing he told me. And so, first of all, in India, right, we are very clearly, job is associated with the status, right? Job is associated with a certain way of life, right? Job is associated with, um, potentially your future, your whether you can get married, whether you can be a successful person ahead. It is purely looked at like that. Nobody says that for a businessman. Nobody says that for an entrepreneur or a solopreneur. No. Um, so clearly, a job is something where it is considered the end all in terms of like a financial solution or a way of life. Forget financial solution. There's so much of like relations and attachment with that path. And imagine every person I had to go by, I had to say that, look, I even when somebody asks me now, and I said, hey, I'm a stock trader who makes videos online, like that is who I am. And people think of me ki, matlab, this guy is completely ekdam barbad, that's the first thought that comes anybody talk to me today. And that is how people look at this. And only 1 or 2 years down the line will people understand, maybe not, if I really make it, right? And if I'm able to show that, look, I found something which gives sufficient money, and maybe in the longer run will give you a lot more than your job as well. So that is the emotion of which India really holds, right? And that is something that I'm trying to project, that hey, there could be alternatives. And the saddest part is, job is everything. It's beautiful. It's really valued. I respect that like anything. I'm a person who cannot go a few months without earning money. I understand the value of that. But despite that, nobody says this, that I am not happy doing my job. Every person in India will say that, look, I want to retire at a certain age. I want to get out of my job at a certain age. It is almost rhetorical to me to say that I'm doing something to eventually get out of it. I am making YouTube videos because I love making YouTube videos. I've made only 20 or so. The point is, I don't want to stop developing that craft. In India, we do something because we will eventually get out of it and we will feel sad. I'm not saying everyone. I think 20% of people, 30, some percentage of people would absolutely love their job. Okay. And when I meet such people, it's amazing. I would love to meet a person who's like, hey, I love my job and I love to have discussions about it. I think the vast majority will not feel that much love towards their job. A lot of people just see it as a means to an end, a means to travel, a means to earn money, a means to do other things. So I think that's what a job is to me, and that's something that I wish to hopefully impact to some extent in my life's work. If I'm able to change that thought process for a very, very tiny set of people, that's what I would be calling my personal accomplishment. So these are my thoughts. Yes, you can go ahead and
what I feel about jobs.
yeah.
I think job is a safety net for mediocre people like me. Because if I am very good at something, I will probably become an entrepreneur. I will not be working for someone else. If because right now people look down at people who are Instagrammers, TikTokers, or YouTubers, but most of them who have been successful till now, I mean, they are looked at with respect. But with all the other things, I mean, they are doing things to earn money. They are doing job for themselves. It's like what do you call it? A self-sufficient business plan, I can say, or self-reliable. But when there is someone mediocre like me, I'm a mediocre person. I am not a super genius or something. I'm not Einstein. And for me, a job, because jobs have a tendency to take people who are mediocre, because who are very intelligent. I don't think they will do jobs. Maybe they will spend their time in research, or if they are creative people, maybe they will start their own band or something like that. So that's what I think. And before last question, before going into this, how much the source of earning money? I mean, you touched on this topic that you are a stock trader and a YouTuber, and people look down on you.
Yeah.
Is it important where the money is coming? All white money, not black money. Is it important where the money is coming from, or is the money important? What do you think nowadays?
What do you mean? What do you mean by is the money?
So, is the source of money is important, or the money is important for socially? Socially, this question is socially.
See, personally speaking, I think just the money is important. I don't personally think too much about what the source is. I am not very concerned with that. But I think socially speaking, the source matters a lot, right? Your respect in society is directly linked with the source of that money, right? Even certain levels of jobs, the moment you say your company name itself, right, there is a certain reaction among people. And if you say I'm working at a Google, hypothetically, there is a certain amount of respect, or I don't know, there could be more companies, but yeah. So source of money in society matters like anything. It matters a little too much, unfortunately.
Yeah. So to get into details, I will call Abhimanyu, because I am very, what do you say? I do not know anything about stock market, to be very honest. And Abhimanyu tried to teach me like he taught me all the time in college also, but I never understood. And I said, "You are stupid. I will call a person who knows more about it." So Shaurya is here. Okay, so Abhimanyu, take it on.
Yeah, it's great to hear your stories and how you shifted to stock market there.
Yeah.
So first thing, because you have explained a lot about how society thinks, what how the job status matter in society.
Yeah.
And even I will talk about the stock market, how our parents, even one generation back, think
Yeah.
about the stock market. If we say that, okay, I'm investing this much money, even buying one stock in stock market, parents' reaction are most of it, no, 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 don't invest. Some uncle or someone has lost entire capital in the stock markets.
Correct.
So, what was your parents' reaction when you thought of leaving the job and coming permanently in a stock market?
Yeah. So I think
How,
yeah. So over about 2 years, right? I think like my dad has heard me say like this for so long. Okay. And I went to my dad every month or so, like mom and dad, and I told them that hey, um, I'm like hey, I think I finally cracked it. Okay, I did this like almost like 18 months in a row. Okay, every month, and I'm like hey, I think I've almost cracked it. Right? I think I've really figured it out. And I would just pick up an idea and test data, practice it, try a lot of things. And my dad's reaction always was very supportive, thankfully. But internally, he always felt, which he told me like much later, he always felt there is no scope here, right? He always felt this is a waste of your time. And he always felt that this has no future. He believes in like you should go down a conventional job, but he has supported me like anything to take some risks, right? Take a lot of risks, in fact. Although knowing that he thought that I'll have to go back to job anyway, because he has seen me shift jobs multiple times. And finally, I think like time and time again, when he was seeing me do this and he's seeing me struggle, he's seeing me fail, right? I'm not afraid of failure, right? I've lost money a lot and I've failed in life a lot, and I think both are very similar in nature how you look at it. Right? And um, the most interesting bit is right, and I think which when I tell friends and I tell others, they also are like completely shocked. So I have now converted my dad into a trader because he has seen that I think for like last 4 months he's a trader now, and he has seen that there is enormous potential of what I was doing because he's seen me work on it for 2 years, and he has now become a trader. So that's a huge success story of mine that I was able to change somebody's thought process, uh, especially considering this pandemic and stuff. Right, you have to try different things out, and he is now also fully into options trading. So yeah, that has been my journey with my parents.
yeah, actually, yeah, I saw one of your post also that how your dad started noting down things in a 1 month or 2 months or no, and he got interested now. He is like a full-time trader.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's that's quite interesting.
yes.
Okay, we'll come to please stock market. So okay, sure. I think you have explained about things. So we'll directly get into the stock market investment.
Yeah.
So what is basically your approach in a stock market? I know a few words like long-term or trading. So if you can little bit explain to audience what is the long-term
Sure.
investment, how long one has to investment, and what is the
Yeah.
benefit of it?
Sure. So just to give people a quick understanding of what is considered short term, long term, and these terms are slightly subjective, although there is some sort of a clear definition of it, but there is some subjectivity involved. So, for example, what most people would be doing in the stock market would be long term investing, right? Long term investing is when you're holding a stock for at least 11 months, right? So that technically from a very taxation standpoint comes into as a long-term investment. So if I'm holding a stock, it could be any stock. Let's say I'm holding Infosys or Tata Motors or anything else, which I believe will just grow over, let's say, a number of years. I'm looking at a very long-term, broad picture in mind. This is when it is typically called a long-term investment. Um, if I go slightly more narrow in terms of the timeline, then you have, let's say, people who would invest. Short term is a little subjective. So anything less than that is considered short term. So let's say some people would be holding stocks for 2 to 3 months, right? Some people would be holding for some sort of a period within months, because they believe that, let's say, there is a dip in the market and they believe buying at this dip is the opportunity. Wait for 4 to 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, wait for the rise, and we will exit. Right? So this sometimes is called swing trading. This sometimes is called short-term trading. If you go to the most narrow frame possible, you have people coming within the same day. So they'll come in the morning and they'll try to find these patterns within the day itself. So they'll try to buy a stock which they believe is going to rise by the evening, or by 3:30 p.m. itself. 3:30 p.m. is when the market closes. So this will be called intraday trading. So this is how I look at it. So you have intraday, you have short term, and you have long term. These are the three broad cuts of timelines and mentalities when it comes to trading, purely from a time perspective. Yeah. So.
And how risky it is to go for intraday trading? I mean, if you can tell them, of course, there are certain amount of risk involved, whether it is a long term also, because sometimes market crash down because of some companies issues or something. So
yeah. So so the thing is that most people, right? I think from a very if you're looking at like earning off the stock market purely from a long-term basis, right, where you're not actively going to trade too much, but you would like to have a portfolio of investments. So the common philosophy, first of all, is that the market on an average will grow at 12% a year, right? So if you're holding a good stock, maybe you're getting slightly more than that, right? If you're holding a stock which is expected to do well, which is what most people go for, is called the blue chips, right? The blue chip stocks are the stocks which are the big companies of India, your Tatas and Reliance and such people, right? There's so many others. There are about, I don't know, 50 to 100, I think, blue chips. I'm not sure about the number, but it's a good number. So when most people would look at long term from a perspective where they would buy a long term stock, and maybe there will be a dip in 1 year, maybe because of some sort of a financial crisis or some sort of a risk, as you already said, right? Some event could have come in. But if you look at the long term picture, you should technically double your money every 8 years or so, if I'm not wrong. That's 12%, and over 8 years or 7 years, 7 to 8 years is where you'll double your money. And I think a very simpler version of this is what people do with mutual funds, right? So when you're looking at long-term investment, the risk is purely from that point of view that, hey, at times, there will be a certain event which might drastically reduce, but on an average it should keep rising, if that's how big your outlook is. Now, personally, for me, I having worked only about 6 years or so, I don't have so much money that growing it at 12% a year will be significant in money for me. So I have to try to find ways to do a lot more than 12%, like much higher than 12%. So like I so like personally for me, shall I just get into a little bit of how I look at my mentality towards growing my money? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So just continuing on that point regarding risk and how I personally look at it. So I personally look at it more around, I have to compensate for a monthly salary. Right? So I keep thinking that how can I pull off, at least 1 lakh rupees a month? Literally, I'm still there itself, right? So my goal is literally how do I pull off 1 lakh rupees month of growth per month, and in a manner which is absolutely safe, right? Now, the reason why I personally am not heavily into stocks, right, is because stock market, as long as it is rising, any stock that you've picked, it's fine. But whenever there is a sort of a negative information that comes in, right, you could be on the unfortunate end of losing as well, right? That's always the risk in stocks, right? Or there's always the risk in what we like to call directional markets, right? When you are buying a stock, you are a directional trader because you wish for the stock market to rise in one direction, right? That's what you're hoping for. You only make money in one direction, right? And yeah, so I personally don't get into heavily directional markets because my money is not fixed, right? Like when you are not sure of how much the market will go up, right? And there is a lot of luck involved. If there is a lot of positive news, you will earn a lot. If there is negative news that month, you may have to go with like some negative as well. So it's like a negative salary, right? Negative salary is like hits you really hard. Uh, so yeah, so I think the risk from a short-term perspective will always be that there's some news comes in and your stock dips, versus in long term that wouldn't matter as much. But yeah, so my approach from a very timeline perspective is that.
Yeah, so basically, like if you have a patience, you have some capital which is kept aside and you are not using, you put it in long-term investment and just forget it for certain number of years.
Yes.
But same time, if you are looking for alternative income, as
Yeah.
we were talking in starting,
Yeah.
and you need some continuous flow,
Correct.
inflow of money, then we should look for the trading, maybe in intraday swing trading, or as you are in option trading.
Correct. Yes.
So I'll come to your expertise field. As you told, you don't invest much in a stock, you go for the options.
Yeah.
So I would like you to tell in about the options basic, what exactly it is, because
Sure.
if I know, there are a lot of hype about it, and
Yeah.
people say also it is quite risky. It is kind of zero sum game. Either you get it or you don't get it.
Correct.
So first we'll start with the option basics, if you can tell about.
Absolutely. So, I always tell this to people when anyone's learning from me. So I do teach people professionally as well. But yes, so when anyone's learning from me, I always tell them this first line. I find like the simplest way to explain it. A lot of people find options as a very complicated topic. It's like a whole financial subject in an MBA course, right? Options trading is a very deep topic. When I was exploring options trading, right, I personally felt that there was so much theory, right, and there was so much gyan on the internet about options trading, but not one person is saying, how do you trade it? Like, what are you finally supposed to do, right? Like, I can learn what is an asset, I can learn various terms, always theory, right? But nobody talks about the practicals, right? And I worked really hard to like sort of decipher some very simple practical elements that I can teach somebody in about 4 to 5 hours. So I have a sort of a course where I do that. But anyway, so what I usually tell people when you think of options is think of options as insurance, right? So options and insurance have very similar um, characteristics. Okay, so today, if I compare with the stock versus an option, right? So if you're buying a stock, you are effectively buying at, let's say, 100 rupees. If it grows to 105 rupees, you would have made a 5% growth on it. If you exit at 105, you've gained that much money, that 5 rupee gain. And that is all you really need to understand from an operational standpoint. Right. Now, when it comes to options, options work in a much more complex manner. And to simplify this, options are basically insurance, right? And it's basically, if you think about what insurance is nothing but a bet. It is just a bet between two parties. So if I'm taking car insurance, okay, I am basically betting that my car will break down. Hence, I'm buying insurance for it. So if I pay 10,000 rupees to insure my car, if I pay 10,000 rupees to insure my car, I am believing that in the next 1 year, which is your typical term of insurance, which is 1 year for your car, that I believe that in the next 1 year, the car will have some cost that will come, some breakdown, some damage, some accident, something might happen. And let's say the cost of the accident was 40,000 rupees to fix that car, like the cost of that car being broken or being damaged. What was my profit in this? I only paid 10,000 rupees to buy insurance, and I got service worth 40,000. My profit was actually 30,000 rupees. I profited 30,000 rupees by engaging in this insurance deal with some other person or with the company. Now, in this situation, I was the insurance buyer, and the company which is giving me that car insurance, right, whether it's a bank or anybody else, they are the insurance seller. So that insurance seller, when do they make money? They're also betting, right? So they are betting that you will not crash your car. Okay. So they will make money when you don't break down, when your car doesn't crash. And everybody has insurance, right? But only 1 or 2% of cars will really have accidents. So 98%, from 98% of people, insurance companies will back that 10,000 rupees, which is your premium. So options are exactly the same thing, like exactly what I just described, right? And options work in a very simple way. And if I give you like an example with, let's say, Nifty options, right? Like Nifty is just the index which everyone will be looking at, which describes the health of the market or the overall how the top 50 stocks are doing. Is described by an index called Nifty 50 for anyone who's listening. A lot of people just trade Nifty options, right? So if, for example, right, Nifty is, let's say, trading at let's say 15,000, okay, hypothetically, and you will again have two types of people, right? You will have an option buyer and an option seller. Like an option buyer or an insurance buyer is hoping that an outcome occurs, the car breaks down, right? Similarly, if I'm buying an option now we have to put a certain number to it. So if I'm buying the 16,000 option when market is at 15,000, each level on the market, every 100 points, every 50 points, there is a certain there's a certain target, right? So if I'm buying the 16,000 option, I believe that the market will hit 16,000, right? I believe that the market will hit that point. As an option seller, I believe it won't hit that point. Because as a seller, we again hope that that outcome does not occur. It might seem a little overwhelming, when I say some of these things, but in a nutshell, that's what options really are. And using these in interesting ways is what we can do. So that's what options trading is. But if for the audience, another very simple example which is commonly used, okay, is that, let's say India is batting, okay, is a cricket match and India is batting, right? Let's say you and I are watching that India has made 200 runs in 33.3 overs, which is 6 runs per over. 100 balls are left, and you and I are now betting. Let's say you are let's say a person who believes a certain outcome will occur. Okay, so you say that, boss, India will hit 300 runs for sure. Okay, and I will say that no, India will not hit 300 runs. So you are buying the 300 option. I am selling the 300 option. When I'm selling the 300 option, I'm saying that this outcome will not happen. And when you're buying it, you are saying that this outcome will happen. And one of us will win. And the science of understanding whether India can hit 300 or not, a lot of statisticians and analysts analyze, can India go at a run rate with Virat Kohli, with Dhoni, or with, I don't know, there's a whole new generation of guys. If a wicket falls, the chance of you winning drops drastically. And the chance of me winning goes up. So this is what options trading is. And I think this example was a lot better, I think. This is what options trading is.
Yeah, that's quite great analogy, and I think people would be able to understand who doesn't have any touch on the options trading.
Yes.
So basically, we understand it is kind of speculation. I'm betting on some stocks. For example, today it is trading on 100 rupees. So I'm betting that it will go 105, 110 rupees.
Correct.
And I'm putting for that bet certain amount of premium, not the full amount.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And same way, there option seller who is thinking it will go down.
Correct.
So that is how options work.
Yes.
So tell us about what is your approach in option trading, whether you trade in the Nifty or Nifty Bank, or you go for the basic stocks specific trading.
Yeah. Personally, I trade Nifty options only. I think I'm currently just doing Nifty options. I had a phase where I explored bank Nifty options. But so from a very thought process standpoint, right? Like from a very thought process standpoint, I am what we call an option seller. Okay. So you have buyers and sellers, right? And buyers will always believe certain outcomes will be hit. Okay. Like that market will reach this level by the end of this duration. It's a weekly contract. Every week you have options. So every week these bets go through. Okay. And effectively, right, you can bet in both directions. The huge advantage of options over stocks is that you can bet in both directions. Now you can say that you can do a bet that hey, market will go up this way or market will go down this way to hit this lower level. So you have two types of options, one on this side of scale and on the upper side. So with options, now this becomes very interesting because now you have a two-sided bet that you can make. In stocks, it's always a one-sided bet, right? You're always like market has to go up. If it goes down, it's a problem, right? But with options, right, I can now say, if I again use the cricket example, okay, I can now say India is going to make between 250 and 300. Okay, so I've made a bet ki minimum lower bound, so they will make 250 and an upper bound 300. So I get a chance to place bets in both directions and I can earn a little bit of both. And the beauty of making these two-sided bets, this is what option sellers do. You might have heard of maybe people like P.R. Sundar, such famous personalities on YouTube who are really talking about option selling, and they're almost like celebrities. But I'm just saying that this is what effectively all of these guys do. They sell a certain option on the top and a certain option at the bottom. And they say that the market will fall in between. The beauty of doing this, right, when you do it this way, is that you're going to win one for sure. Right? So if I say that the market is going to, if I say that India is going to make between 250 and 300, either one will be one for sure. Either they will be above 250 or below 300, no matter what. Right? No matter what, one of the bets is 100%. Now it is your skill that you're able to fit, win both. And this is what effectively is the thought process in option selling, right? And this is something that you do on a weekly basis. And I think I'm getting probably a little distracted from the question. Could you just repeat the question?
No, my question was like whether you trade in the stock options or you go for the index trading.
So I particularly just stick to index. I stick to Nifty only, and Nifty only largely for the reason that as a seller, right, you want it to stay in a certain range, right? And when does that happen? That happens only with indexes. So the more stable the index is, right? In fact, if the lesser it moves, the more money I keep making, because it is you're winning. You're sort of like both conditions are being satisfied, right? It's not crossing this also. It's not crossing this also. It's somewhere in between. So I trade Nifty because Nifty is so stable. Nifty is really like, if you ever look at some stats on Nifty, Nifty does not move too much on a weekly basis, right? On a weekly basis, Nifty is very flat. And I also say this to, so I don't do Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty is just the collection of those 14 banks. Bank Nifty is about 14 banks. And the issue with Bank Nifty, although there is more money to make in Bank Nifty, when the market moves a lot, right? Because they're just one sector. So when the market moves a lot, that the Bank Nifty can really move a lot, and that can cause a lot of panic for you. Whereas Nifty is a collection of 50 stocks, and it is pretty stable, and that's where it's easy to stay within a certain range. And I say this, even in my workshop, that like this is the only way in the stock market, at least from what I know, okay, options at least is the only way you can make money with the market not moving at all. Okay, so if the market is absolutely flat for like 10 days, okay, as a stock trader you might be frustrated, okay, but this is the only way you can make money. And people usually with a lot more money, especially like really high net worth individuals in the stock market, usually who are open to a little bit more risk would go down this path, would typically go down this path.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So basically, you go for the sideways trading.
Correct. Sideways, neutral, non-directional trading or sideways trading. Yes.
Mhm. No, I would like to understand is the risk associated with the option sellers and
Yeah.
option buyers, because
Yeah.
it is like if selling the option, in my
Yeah.
understanding, there is
Yeah.
a limited profit, but there is
Yes.
unlimited risk. You can lose anything.
Correct.
Same
Correct.
same point. Otherwise, is like if you are buying option buyer, there is a limited risk, but there
Yeah.
unlimited profit.
Correct.
But both have there is also winning probability. So if you can
Absolutely.
explain both way, which is
Absolutely.
how it works
Yeah.
and what is the drawback of the strategies.
Yes. Yes. I'm so glad you brought this up. Right. I'm so glad you brought this topic up, because this is like the most touchy topic for traders, right? So
Yes.
option, yeah, this what you really brought up is very, very touchy for traders. And see, you're right. In theory, when you are selling options, right? If it really breaks out of that range or moves past the level that you have mentioned, well, which will not go past. In such a market where the market genuinely moves a lot, yes, in theory, there is unlimited loss, right? In theory, right? So the the thing is that options, like if a stock market moves linearly upwards, right? Options go exponentially upwards. That's the, from a very mathematical sense, it will accelerate a lot more as compared to when the stock or Nifty is moving linearly. So the option of Nifty will move exponentially. So a lot of people, they that's the risk that they find, that in seconds your price could have just shot up, and as a seller you want that price to go down, right? So but just to specifically answer your question, yes, there is unlimited risk in terms of, in very theoretically, but you will have to actually ask yourself that how much will you actually incur, right? If you're able to run that contract down, how much will you actually incur, and what is the probability of this happening, right? So let's say you have given yourself some range, right? Let's say you are at, market is at 15,000, you have now, let's say, sold a 15,500, right? You're saying that 500 points it will not cross. Now, if you just go further out, right, you can really raise your probability a lot more by just maybe moving away further. So I could sell the 16,000 and I could say that 1,000 points up may not happen, right? And so the thing is, although in theory, when they say that it is unlimited loss in unlimited potential loss in option selling, very practically that's not going to happen. Okay? And the probability of that happening is so small, but yes, theoretically it can happen. If tomorrow, for whatever reason, right, the market really crashes, yes, you will lose a lot. And I can tell you some, very practical situations where, let's say, the coronavirus second wave came, right? And I was an active option seller at this point. Yes, you're right. Overnight, I've lost 3% of my capital, right? I've lost 3%, I've lost 4%. So I want to tell people that, look, there is a concept called hedging, right? If you are hedging, right, if you're hedging your bets, I won't get into hedging. I think it might confuse people. If you wish to, I will. But if you are able to hedge your bets, sell is a way of hedging. There are more complex ways of hedging. But if you're able to hedge your bets, you have to accept that in case of a crash, okay, you may not lose more than 4% or so. You can also make that back in about a week or two. So it's not that you have lost that and it will take months to get that. You can get 3 to 4% in about 2 to 3 weeks. Right. So the thing is, that is your risk. That is your practical risk from my experience, right? That you will have to accept that in big movements, 5% is your loss. And the probability of this happening is that this will happen once a year, right? This will happen once a year. There might be like we are in a pandemic, so this might be happening slightly more often, but under normal circumstances, I think this will happen once a year. And the probability of it staying within a certain range will be as high as 90%. There is a 10% probability that it moves out. And these probabilities are very, very well known by option sellers and buyers. They know this number, to the model for it. Like they know that number very, very accurately. So I think I also like to believe that when that one black swan event comes, right, when that very bad event comes, I have the skill to either recover my money in a week or two, or I have the skill to manage a zero loss situation, right? You can even be skillful enough to be able to leave with around zero. So when there is too much movement, can I leave with, if not minus 3%, can I fight to make it zero? And I think that's a big victory for traders if you can leave at a zero in a bad situation.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I mean, like if you're not making the money, at least you are able to protect your capital.
correct.
That is a very important.
Absolutely.
Oh,
So, yeah.
okay, so I understand you keep your trading strategies and even you hedge this to restrict your risk up to certain limits. That should be the strategy. But in general way, like someone wants to enter in a market, and because if I understand for the hedging or trading option, particularly in if you're selling options, you need quite a lot of capital. So in your view, if someone wants to start, how much one should have a capital?
Yeah, very good question, because again, a lot of guys reach out to me for 21, 22, and when I like tell them that, hey, look, you need some funds to do this, okay, they're just heartbroken. Okay, like a lot of people are just like, really, do I really need so much? But just to update everyone, as of the current month and onwards, right, as per the latest rules, you can trade Nifty options, okay, hedged Nifty options, for as little as about 40,000 rupees, okay, but 40,000 rupees will have to be your minimum investment, right? You will not be able to go lower than that. If anybody ever is thinking, right, that how am I supposed to look at this, this is how I break it down to them, that you can look at a return of very, very safely 5 to 6% a month. Okay, it will take some skill building to reach this point. It might take 3 months to actively really invest yourself to reach a skill set of doing 5 to 6% a month. But I think that is something that I've been fairly easily able to do. I do sometimes much more than that as well. And I tell them that when you're investing, let's say you even have 1 lakh rupees, right? And you're able to, take this minimum order of 40,000, as a hedge trade. On your 1 lakh, if you will, just for simplicity of calculation, on your 1 lakh, you should be able to make that 5,000 rupees or 6,000 rupees per month, right? And a lot of people again feel that I'm locking in 1 lakh rupees and I'm getting a return of, let's say, 5% monthly return, and they feel that isn't that so risky. And I again tell this to people that I don't think there are any get rich overnight schemes, right? There are no get rich overnight schemes. You will have to work hard to make your 5% a month, but this is something which is very, very much achievable. I say this further to a lot of people with jobs, that the money that you put in mutual funds, if you're able to understand options trading and do the lowest risk possible, right, go for 3% a month, gain 3% a month, but that will be exponentially higher than what you will pull off otherwise through mutual funds or long-term investments. So this is how I always tell anybody who's young and out there that, think of it this way. At this age, you may not, a lot of people at a younger stage may not understand the value of growing 3-5% a month, but it's a very huge value. And as you accumulate capital, it will give you insane returns. So that's the minimum amount needed, and that's the approximate return that you can hope for.
Yeah, that's great. I think if we keep continuing about this option discussion, it's a lot to know, and I mean, we cannot discuss each and everything over here. So we would like to understand some general point of view. If anyone entering in a market, basically the retail investors, And I'll go to our initial discussion. You also have told when you have entered, you have lost your capital also, like 30% or something you mentioned.
Yeah. I did.
So if you can tell what they should not do, at least because the saving your capital, that is a very important to sustain in this market.
Yes.
So what they should do, and from your learning, what is your message to them? They should avoid doing those mistakes.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so what I would say is that always first of all, whatever your investment may be, always know your numbers, right? Know your numbers, know your stats a little bit. Where, for example, when you are especially into something like options, right? You should know certain numbers like what is my max loss, right? In a bad event, how much
Yes.
will I lose maximum? What is my max gain? That if things go perfectly fine, what is the maximum amount that I'm gaining? So, what is my probability of success? Probability of success is extremely important. So, knowing these three numbers, which is your risk, reward, and probability, is very, very important. So, if you're able to sort of really very early on understand this concept, um, it will go a long way. So, you should always definitely know your numbers. Second of all, when you're getting into derivatives, if at all anybody is trying to get into derivatives, there is a good amount of risk involved, right? But that is not to discourage you, but to just educate yourself, right? That when derivatives are involved, you can lose a lot of money very, very quickly. I personally lost my income, or let's say my funds, in doing something called futures trading. I won't get into that, but I was trying a lot of things and I lost money there. But the thing is that when you're entering something new, do it on a bare minimum quantity. Do it on the least quantity possible. A lot of people would even say do paper trading, right? So paper trading platforms exist. Please practice paper trading, which is virtual trading with virtual money. Please practice it for at least 3 months before you can even think of making an account and doing that. My mistake is I never practiced paper trading. I just got into trading and I had to learn it the hard way. So always practice that. And even when you're in the stock market, give it another 6 weeks or, before you really scale up. So these are some of the pointers that I would say if you're starting off and you want to get into more active trading, this is how you should look at it.
See, Shaurya, while you were telling me this, I remembered you said initially that you liked maths a lot and you were quite good at it in school.
Yeah.
And then you had a background in analytics through your job.
Yes.
So is that a combination of skill set required to be good in option trading? And what other skills do you think are required for people like normal people like me?
Yeah, good question. See, I don't think that any specific skill is required. My background has, of course, helped me out in having the ability to process this a lot faster. Maybe because I'm used to that. I had made my career on processing information. But I would say that for anybody, the only skill that you would really need, there are two major skills that you would need to be an options trader or even to be a trader, I would put it as, right? You will have to know, you will have to be comfortable with numbers, right? Looking at numbers is something that you have to be comfortable with. As I already mentioned in the previous question, that knowing your risk reward probability, knowing these numbers and being comfortable looking at them is something that you will have to get used to. Doing like very, very basic calculations, which is pretty much like 8th standard, 10th standard maths, nothing very complicated. Quick multiplications. These are things that you should be very, very comfortable with. Secondarily, from a skill set point of view, you develop the most important skill set, which is the mentality. So, which is basically called, it's a topic called trading psychology or trading mentality. It will come under that. Building a mentality to accept certain amount of risk in life, right, is the biggest skill that you can earn, and that is absolutely very much needed for you to progress in trading specifically. right? You take risks in life every day in various ways, right? So knowing that I may have lost, I think a lot of people, when I've seen them panic saying I lost 100 rupees in the stock market, right? I've seen guys who are like absolutely panicking for them. Now, in your ability to just stay calm and know that money will come back, it will grow, and the variable nature of money exists in the stock market. So, if you're able to build a mentality where you are open-minded to risk, you are positive and optimistic that I understand that it will grow in the long run, and I am calm in tough situations. This is the most important skill that you will only learn with little experience. And that really applies in any walk of life. If you really think about it, it requires for you to handle tough situations in your job, in your profession, is very important. And that is a skill you will learn in any field. But yes, that is absolutely important for you to stay in the long run. Because the number of hits that you will get early in your career as a trader is very high. The early first 1 year, I would say, is very hard hitting for anyone. And that's where most people leave. But if you're able to cross that threshold and you build that mentality, you will reach a certain place in your mind where you're able to really handle tough situations. You'll reach a certain place where you can understand that this will really go far. So yeah.
I see. I know that you weren't thinking about this before 2019.
Yeah.
So you said that you studied a lot. How did you study? Is it through some online course, or you read some books, or you attended some classes? How was it?
Yeah, I didn't attend any classes as such, but I'm just a sort of like a curious kind of person. So at times, many times, just Google a lot of things. I think you can do a very affordable course if you're I would say, okay, first let me just talk about myself. So like I didn't do any course, and I just was a person who has been very curious about the stock market for a very long time. Just that idea that you can just make money based on some knowledge that you have was very exciting to me. And I personally didn't do any courses. I just learned a lot through Googling articles, reading. Um, so I'm a very experimental learner. I don't think a lot of people might learn that way. But I think resources such as YouTube, resources like if you just Google, you'll get so many good articles. There are some great books. So if you just go and explore, there is just a wealth of knowledge out there where which you can get absolutely for free. You don't even have to pay a single rupee. But I think to really simplify it for anybody who's listening, that you can do some wonderful courses. I think there are some really good courses out there which are very very affordable on various websites that you can go through, and you can just pick up a certain a skill set. So yeah, so I think that's how I've gone about it.
Um, I thought you will say yourself, but tell us about your workshops and how do you do it?
Yeah, I've been running a workshop to professionally teach what I do for a living, and I have been doing it from December. I started in December 2020, so I've taken quite a few batches in this time, and it's typically a 3-week course, right? It's a course of 3 weeks. We'll meet on 3 Sundays, right? And after we'll meet for about 2 hours each on a Zoom call, and after about establishing the theoretical knowledge that you need it takes about 3 to 4 times more, 4 hours it takes roughly. We will then get into practicals. I'm a very practical driven learner, okay? And most people are very scared to take that first step practically. So in that workshop, I also go ahead and tell them exactly what to do to grow from a practical standpoint. Exactly, like I handhold people for the first 1 week, right? And then we further have one last session where we further discuss. So it's called a 3-day options trading workshop, and I've had roughly about 300 people attend it till now. So it's been a great response, honestly. Uh, People coming in largely through LinkedIn and other sources. But yeah, that's roughly what I do. The intention of this workshop is not just for you to learn some theory, but to make your first trades. I want people to make their first trades within about 3 weeks of doing this. And I think you can make your first trade, and I think you will leave, with at the very least that 1.5% for that week or 6% for the month. And that's the goal that we will try to achieve in that workshop itself. So I made this product thinking that I would have wanted to take this workshop when I was struggling for 1.5 years. I don't think I ever found a product where there was a practical exposure to it. So that's in a nutshell my 3-day options trading workshop.
What is your workshop called? Does it have a name?
Yeah, I've just called it the options trading 3-day workshop by Shaurya Shrivastava. It's just that. That's it, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make it something more catchy. Another thing I want to ask is that how do people should get in touch with you? People like me
Sure.
who want to learn it, and
Sure.
what time are you available? And another thing is that if you want to disclose the amount we have to invest in this workshop also.
Yeah. So yeah, sure. To reach out to me, anybody, all you have to do is just find me on LinkedIn, or you can even you can just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm available on Instagram. You can just drop me an email on my email ID, which is pretty much mentioned on all social media platforms. So if anybody wants to, you can just, it's not going to be very tough to find me. And I'm also I'm just working on building a website for myself. So it will be even easier tomorrow. Building a website where anybody who wants to take the course, wants to talk about financial independence, wants to reach out to me anyway. And I want to create a website which will solve this problem for a larger part of the country. Right. And if you ever wish to get out of your job and get into options trading, or let's say look at this perspective from here, I wish to create a platform which enables all of this, and this is what I'm doing. And I think you had asked that how much does it cost and how much should somebody invest to be here.
Before that, at what time are you available? I mean, as you said, most of the people are doing their jobs. So what time are you available?
Yes, I'm available at any point after 3:30 p.m. 3:30 to 8:30 p.m. I'm totally free. And I think one more thing which I probably didn't mention is that I don't work for the whole 6 hours in the stock market. I usually put in about 2 to 3 hours stocks. I don't put more than that. So effectively, my amount of investment on the stock market is about 2 to 3 hours. I'm pretty much available. I'm a very free person that way. And I am free pretty much after 3:30. So anybody wants to reach out to me, just drop me a message and I'll get back to you. I also actually have a business number. If I don't know if I should mention it here, or I don't know if that's appropriate, but yeah, I have a business number.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Let them ask you through email or something.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think, that's how you can. And if anybody is wondering, what is the cost and how much you need to invest to even get into something like this, I charge 1,000 rupees for that 3-day workshop. I think it's going to be the most affordable workshop that you will find out there. That's my promise to you. I've made a product that a 20-year-old should be able to pick up, a 16-year-old should be able to pick up. I really want to push this. I don't want to be compensated in a manner where I need to get a lot out of it. But 1,000 rupees is all that I charge. I don't intend to raise the price, right? I keep it at 1,000 so that anybody can access this. 1,000 rupees, and you can consider the 1,000 rupees from a point where you can learn this skill for that. And if you really want to get into investing in the stock on the options market, you will need 50,000 rupees. You will need 50,000 rupees of investment as a bare minimum. And even if you can't do that, trust me, the 1,000 rupees is worth it to just learn the theory and the skill. So that's what I charge.
And how frequently your new batches is started?
I have a batch roughly once a month. So
Okay.
once a month is what I have a batch.
Great. I think you will get many more customers because the way you explained things before. And I don't know, when you were telling me, I had a thing in my mind that, that movie, F.I.R.E. 2 or something, that make the money double overnight. And you said it very beautifully that, it is not possible. There is no shortcut. everything has its risk, everything has its background and homework, everything behind it. So I think if someone takes a course from you, I mean, you are a cool guy. I know you now since we are talking for an hour, so and it would be easier to have an interaction with you. And that hand holding technique for 1 week, I think people like me will need it a lot, because to be honest, I didn't know anything about it. I know right now maybe 10% of what you know. Anyways, so last question before we conclude this topic is that what is the one thing which you keep in your mind while leaving a job? I mean, while you thought that, okay, now I should leave my job, what is your personal target that you said, okay, if I get that, I will feel that my leaving the job was a success? And the another additional question with that will be that when you told me that you have a product now and you are starting a website, so what are your future aspirations?
Very good question. So I think your first question was, what is my target? When would I consider leaving my job and getting into this alternate lifestyle a success? Right. Yeah, I think I think I'm not yet there where I would say that I have gotten the success that I was looking for. Right. I think a lot of it has been accepting that, hey, look, I'm getting a little lower than what I wanted. Right. The human greed is always more, but the most obvious thing that I initially did was compared with my salary that I got in my most recent job, and I am not able to match that at the moment. I'm not able to match the salary 10 months on from leaving my job. And how I personally look at it is I work approximately 3 to 4 hours a day, okay, on trading, 3 hours probably. And when I was in my job, I was one way or the other stuck for about 9 hours in my most recent job, okay, 9 hours or so. And I think, although from a financial standpoint, I'm yet to beat that. I'm thinking I'm currently getting about 80% of my salary. And I have a target that I want to beat my salary. And I know it will come because in options trading or trading, your money is compounding and it will reach that point. And hopefully at a point even where, this figure beats the salary very significantly. But more from a holistic standpoint, I would say that the amount of time that I've had, right? I've had the last 10 months to myself to do so many interesting things that I would never give away. I have developed myself in so many ways where I could never have done it if I had my job going. I really respect my state of mind, the positivity that I feel when I'm free and when I'm ready to do when I have the time to do what I want. In in a job, you sort of view 1 year of work and then you're looking for an appraisal. You're sort of, in that mentality that, hey, this is the work that I've done and this is the appraisal that I got. This is how any employee will look at their period. But I would say in the last 10 months, I've gotten so much more. I've been able to start a YouTube channel. I've been able to really explore my creative side. I've really been able to feel so excited to do so much of research. So many times I think the only thing I want to conclude this topic by saying is that you can also measure ROI in terms of time. So don't just measure in terms of absolute money that you're getting. I would say instead of working maybe 10, 12 hours a day for salary X, if you're able to work 4 5 hours and get 75, 80% of it, it is a huge, huge value in that additional time that you get. So I would just tell anyone that don't underestimate that. It is extremely valuable. So
And
that is how, that's the construct with which I measure my success or how I should be going there.
and that I think is the only where people can actually work from home. Right now, people are working from home, but they are living miles away from their family.
Correct.
In some other city. So, yeah,
Okay.
that's another good thing. Shaurya, one thing I want to know your views about this
Yeah.
new fad. It's not
Yeah.
new, but it is a fad called cryptocurrency.
Right.
What are your thoughts about cryptocurrency? How much you have dived into it, and what's your, what should I say, future predictions? Yeah, be an astrologer. What's your future predictions about cryptocurrency in India?
Right. So I think cryptocurrency is going to be really big. Okay. I think cryptocurrency, the way it's being marketed, right, and the way people are adopting it, I think it's going to be really big. But this is my personal take on it, and I have my reservations, right? I initially tried to get into cryptocurrency in 2018 when I was reading about it, and I found a lot of hassles at that point in terms of, I think, creating an account and pulling money out and things like that. But I think a lot of that has been taken care of from my understanding. I think all that has been taken care of. So of course it's a lot more accessible. But I will say this, okay, and as a word of caution to anyone, right, that when you do put your money in currency of sorts, right, it is a currency at the end of the day, and the appeal is that this will be an alternate form of currency. Right? When you're putting money in your currency and it has the ability to fluctuate up or down overnight, right? There's just too much out of your hands, right? If you have a 100 rupee note and tomorrow it is worth 60, okay, it is not something that you want to put too much of your money into. And so I would always put in a word of caution, because if one tweet or if one slight piece of information can, cause the price to double or, become half, then I think we are, from a very maturity standpoint, we are very, very far away from a lot of people being in it. We're a whole generation. It will take a decade for people to really get into it. A couple of things that I feel that will definitely happen with cryptocurrency. I think it's already, things are happening in the US, but cryptocurrency, I'm sure, will have some sort of a direct investable, like an index or something or the other in the stock market itself. I'm very, very sure there will be indexes associated with cryptocurrency. Maybe in India, that's going to take a lot of time. But I think that's the future, that there will be some link, direct link between the stock market and the cryptocurrency. Because cryptocurrency is holding real value in people's lives now. And hence, it will have to become part of the formalized financial world. Yeah, so I definitely think that's going to happen. And I would love to explore it personally when it is formalized. Okay, I'm not sure if it is considered exactly formalized now or it is in somewhere in between, but I will probably explore it when it is fully formalized. That is my personal opinion.
And let's hope that Elon Musk doesn't tweet something after smoking weed at night and people lose their money again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yes.
Okay. One question.
Yeah.
Shaurya, do you want to mention any disclaimer? Because I think none of us are SEBI registered. So just for because this video we can put disclaimer as it is a learning purpose or something.
I think it's okay. I don't think we're giving any direct,
Recommendation.
recommendations. Yeah. So I think it's okay. You're right. Technically, it should be there, but we have not actually spoken about trading or investing in something very specific. So I think it's okay.
Okay, I think what we'll do is in the video description, we will put that it is purely for the learning purpose.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Okay,
I think Varun, you asked me a question that what am I planning on doing next, right? Yeah. So I think I didn't answer that. So to answer your question on what I'm doing next, I have a couple of plans, right? So till now, I have been working on solving a problem which I believe has been largely solved in my head, right? From doing it manually. My first goal over the next 6 months is to automate this. So the algorithm market of India is going to be really big, and that's where I think my heart is at. Okay, and I think there's a huge opportunity to be a creator in an algorithm market. So the algorithm market, which is, I think it's too early to talk about to the masses, but the algorithm market is going to be big. I think one platform has come up, which is called TradeTron, which I absolutely fell in love with. So it is so beautiful that you could effectively, let's say there could be a strategy X on that website, right? All it does is it accesses your account. You have to give it a key and it accesses your account once it has paired with your account. And that algorithm has a bunch of rules that, hey, when market reaches here, buy this, sell that, whatever the rules may be. And it will trade on your account and it will give you these stats beforehand that, hey, success rate is so much. On an average, you should pull this much. Minimum investment needed, 1 lakh rupees. All of this will be given to you. And a machine will automatically trade for you So this power exists with you today, that you need to know nothing about the stock market and you can buy the best algorithm. And this is the future, in my opinion. And I think the next 5 years will be big in the development of this space. And I want to establish myself as a creator there. So that is one opportunity that I really see. Another opportunity that I want to really explore is my alternate career, which is my YouTube career. The bunch of things that we spoke about, which is job, life, even trading, and how you can look at this. So I have a small channel which I'm trying to grow. It's a self-named channel, which is Shaurya Shrivastava. So I have not taken it very seriously till date because I myself was figuring out a lot of things in my life. But yes, my focus again over the next 6 months would be that I will aim to grow it as much as I can. That would be my creative pursuit. I do it largely for satisfaction, and I hope to gain no money out of it. So these are two broad things that are on my mind, and I will grow that. And on a very long-term perspective, I wish to be in a space where I can say that I solved the passive income problem for India. I am very emotional about how and very attached to the condition of the average Indian, right? Or who goes through a starting job, goes through their struggles. And I really understand the value of that. I really understand what it means to go through all of that. And the struggle of India that is there in every, middle class Indian household. And I wish to solve that problem where I give hope with a slight alternative to even a small bunch of people. That is my overall plan. Yeah.
I wish you all the success, because your success means that people like me can also be successful, and the thing which you are emotional and so invested in for your future. I think it will solve a lot of problems. And the biggest problem is that, there is a general stress in everybody's mind. Apart from job, family, anything, there is a general stress that I have to wake up at this time, I have to reach office fighting through this traffic, I have to come back, there is rain, there is flood, whatnot. And this general stress, if it is gone, I mean, we will have a healthier India too. I mean, it's not about having money, it's about basic overall holistic healthiness of a human being.
Yeah, so I was wondering, how did you guys what has your journey been in your YouTube journey? You've been around for a year, if I'm not wrong.
Not around here. I think we started in May this year.
This year,
last year I planned last year that I want to have a podcast. I am in love with podcasts. It's last 4-5 years around that. Every night I listen to a podcast. My favorites are like Joe Rogan and Lex Friedman are my favorite. Eric Weinstein. So I made a small studio in my house, but I didn't started it because everything to start anything, it needs courage and support. And I seek support from everyone, but I don't think anyone was interested in podcasting that way. And one day, my friend Naveen, who is not here today, he called me and said that I don't know what's happening. And I said, yeah, I think just job will not help us in future. The world has changed so fast. Once upon a time, my father was doing a job, and that was a government job, and that's it. Life is set. You are not so much worried about your income, your job, your growth, and government takes care of that, and you just have to work. But now, even if you work, there is no certainty. And I said, why don't we start podcast? And he said, what is a podcast? And I said, we will do one and you will understand what is a podcast. So we started it 2 days later, and we called Abhimanyu too. And from that day, we just thought we will talk about it. Nobody will watch this, but we will put it on YouTube. And when we get old, people will see it.
Yeah.
But later we got a bit ambitious, and we started sending emails to people who I thought that will teach me something. And it's a up and down journey. Some weeks I do not have any guest, and I feel disappointed. Sometimes I watch myself on this channel and I say, I don't know, should my face always be on a screen? But all in all, at the end of the day, I will think that it is all about information. You don't have to see the video, you just have to listen to it. And some people who came to my podcast till now, they were so supportive. They taught us so much of things apart from the topic. They taught us how to talk to other people. I mean, you talk to me beautifully. I didn't know. I don't talk much to people. Most of the time, 80% of my day goes in silence because I hear my back of the mind run so fast. I don't talk to
Yeah.
people. But
Yeah.
this has made me learn a lot. So I think it will be a great journey, and I suppose that your YouTube journey also goes very well, and someday we will meet again about that.
Yeah. What did you like? I was wondering, what did you feel about like when you watch views come in or when you watch a certain subscriber growth, right? I think
Hmm.
for me it was it was very tough to take initially, that okay, you put in so much effort, okay, you're going to make this well edited video, you're going to do things.
Yeah, I mean it's a great question. By the way, whenever someone tells me it's a great question, I never believe them. But right now you ask me a question, it is really a great question because
Yeah.
you were telling me that patience is very important in trading, right? You have to give at least 10-11 months for that. Then you are planning to have an algorithm so that everything happens automatically. This YouTube, which I have heard, read,
Mm,
understood, that it's
mm,
all about algorithm, number one.
mm,
And it's like your one video is like not even a needle in a haystack, and that haystack is as big as this world.
correct. Yeah.
Just imagine that. And you have only one video. So whenever a subscriber increased initially, I was like addicted to it. Swipe down.
Mm,
Okay, one
mm,
increased. Yes. I was sending
mm,
messages to everyone. Yeah, okay. So when my first video came, if you go and watch the first video, I will not remove it. I will never remove it, even if this podcast becomes successful, because
mm,
that is where I started. And when you see it, the quality, what we were talking about, we were all over the place,
yeah.
but that was a start. And for first month, I think I got only 100 views in that, and now it has 700 views.
Mm,
So with time, things will increase. And I
yeah.
think 1 year I have to be very, very patient. I just have to put in hard work and start reading more, to ask more questions, interesting
Mm,
questions, think of increasing the quality, and I hope for the best.
yeah. The most interesting thing that happened with me, right? So like I was like, hey, I want to hit 1,000 subscribers, right, as soon as I can. And I put this like target which meant the world to me for some reason. And as you said, right, it's very addictive. You're watching it increase. I'm seeing like two increase a day or three increase a day, and it's making my day, right? And I'll tell you what, when it hit 1,000, right, I had this a very sad feeling, honestly. It was like, it was one of the most emptiest feelings possible. Okay. And I have very actively practiced to sort of disassociate myself with that number. It's more important for you to do what you want to do, and the rest of the numbers and the views and the likes and all of this shouldn't matter. From a very creative standpoint, I really wish that I'm able to make more of these. So I've made, I think, two videos till date where I didn't care what anybody thought. I just made it because my heart wanted to just say that to myself, forget even the world. And those did the best, surprisingly. And I wish to at least, also like have a body of work where I can consider myself as a creator, as a respectful creator. And it doesn't matter how many subscribers or likes are there. So I think this is something that I'm processing.
It doesn't matter now, but as I was saying, it is also a form of alternative income way down the line, and everybody does not become is not Einstein. There are some Varuns also there. So but it doesn't mean that you cannot put hard work. And
Partially.
the thing which I like the most about this, I mean, I know what your content of your channel is, but my content for me, I personally am not into views much. I'm
Mm,
not into subscribers much because I'm
mm,
too far behind.
mm,
The point right now is that I want my viewers to comment. on my videos. I want their views. I mean, I want them to agree, to disagree. I want them to ask some more information. So I call that guest again to solve those problems. I mean, as I always say, probably I didn't say it today, apparently, but I want to create an ecosystem.
Right.
And that ecosystem should be comprising of I don't know where you studied, but I have said it before. But in my state, in my university of engineering, there was one thin book of every subject. We called it Shivani. Its name was Shivani, and that Shivani was the only thing which made us pass. If we have no idea what the subject is, we used to learn it 5 days, and we pass. I think I want to make Shivani out of this podcast.
Right.
So at least people will get to know that, okay, these many topics, like today, you use so many words: option trading, sideways, directional trading, and whatnot. We didn't talk about anything in detail, but now they know, okay, what is this? They can Google themselves, they can start, and maybe they give me in the comment, I want to understand about directional trading. So I call you back again, just talking about directional trading. This is how I want it to grow, but it's not happening. I think I'm not giving out the message clearly. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a good orator myself yet, so I'm growing. I know.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. I think the creator's journey is something which is very exciting and hard at the same time, extremely hard. Yeah, very, very. This is what I'm sort of like just processing in my own head. Yeah. Also wanted to tell you guys that if you guys want to join the workshop, please just let me know. I'll add you guys. There's no cost at all. Just please let me know. I'll be happy to if you guys attended it and you were interested. So I would definitely recommend maybe next month when I do it, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, I am going to attend it. That's why I asked you cost. I mean, it was not more for US, it was for me, but 1,000 rupees is okay. I mean, you are working as a charity right now, maybe.
True.
So
no, but no, the amount of information which he is telling with the 1,000 rupees, it's nothing. I must say, it's nothing.
Yeah, he's doing charity for that matter. That's what I'm saying.
I'll tell you what. I really thought about where I want to be. Right so you have like cost versus reach. There's a spectrum, right? And I really thought, where do I want to be finally? I used to do this for 500 rupees before, right? Okay. And I said, no, 500 is like really bad. It's like, this is undervaluing my work too much. But the point is, I think I want to keep it around 1,000 rupees because I think like, I attended a workshop by this person called Weber Sisinthi. He's a famous guy on LinkedIn. He's just a LinkedIn influencer. And he talks about how to write on LinkedIn. That's what he does. Okay. And after attending his course, I had to pay 500 rupees. It was 500 rupee course. And I thought, hey, it's 500 rupees, chalega, let's just do it. And I went there and I saw there were 3,000 people in that workshop. There were 3,000 people in one batch, which he takes every 2 weeks, And that was the power of that cost. And I think a lot of people in the stock market space try to price a course at 8,000, 10,000, 15,000, all the way up to goes till lakhs, But that's how it is. And they're trying to catch a person who's very aware, who's really aware. I would rather want to be in a place where, hey, look, if you've probably come here and you're paying 1,000, probably you're not aware about this topic at all or very little about it. And so I think that's the path I've gone down. But I think that's the potential. I see about 40, 50 people come every workshop, for a guy who's not having even a website, So I think the power of like having maybe 200, 300 people coming in is very much possible. Anyway, just to the random thought.
No, it's random, but it's important for us. I mean, for me, I don't know about Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu knows a lot, but he doesn't know option trading, right?
I don't know. I know very basic about the options, but it's still not active trading. And as I told, I'm scared also.
Yeah.
Knowing the fact that we can make the money, still I have not put my effort in the option selling.
So it's good to know that our batch toppers still don't know about everything. So that's good.
So
I think we should close this podcast, or we should stop recording. So I will record
Yeah,
them, and then we
sure.
can continue.
Sure, sure.
yes,
So
okay.
so thank you for watching this video. Or no, no. Thank you for watching this entertaining yet informational video from Shaurya. And as he mentioned, you can go check out his YouTube. Make him 2,000 subscribers, or make me 1,000 first, and then make him 2,000 subscribers. And yeah, check out his workshop. Contact him on LinkedIn or Instagram, and I will put all the links down in the description. And one thing, that this video is not any recommendation, it is just about the information, basic information. So take care of it and join the workshop, and see us next week. Bye bye.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.